KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
This rookie is Tony Gaswart, and this other rookie is Kevin Shiftright, the son of Clint Shiftright. And there's Angus Medford, the backup racer for Team Transberry Juice. Kenny Wheelhouse has this new look with the number 55. Most teams are the same, with Chevrolet Motorsports, Rush Racing, Big 4 Racing, the Pit Stops Revolting Crew, the Anti-Chick Hicks team, Alloy Wilson Racing, and Blaster Charger Racing, all being the same as last season. A new team, Speedson Racing, has just been made, and now these 4 cars will race for Speedson Racing. Pancake Shiftright Racing has Kevin Shiftright replace his father in the number 121. Joe Gears Racing adds a new car, being Tony Gaswart, the rookie. ECS2 Motorsports is the same with Wood Brothers Racing. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated still has the same 2 cars as well. The Crazy 8s team just has Dale Earnhardt, same as last season, and Dynaco Motorsports still only has the King. Owen Drivewell has been fired for not qualifying, and now Dirksen DeAugustino will race all of Team Trunk Fresh's races. Oh, and Elliot Draftler is also on a full-time schedule. David Height's car will go to a part-time schedule because, he doesn't qualify. Finn Overtire, Hannah Left Tire, Jimmy Corkscrew, and Jonathan Topspin will be dropping to the 2nd division, but not retiring. Now, onto the race, where Jeff Gorvette will start at pole position and lead for the first 3 laps before he loses the lead to Rowley Boltstrike. Rowley Boltstrike would lead to lap 8, where Bill Racelot would lead for the next 7 laps until lap 15, where the King will take the lead from him, leading all the way to lap 48, where somehow Ernie Gearson takes the lead without getting an engine failure. But Todd Marcus is 5th as of lap 48, where Terry Carboni, Elliot Draftler, Johnny Blamer, Jimmy Speedcar, Kenny Wheelhouse, and Winford Bradford Rutherford are out! I think there should be a Todd Marcus screen, but Dale Earnhardt will take the lead on lap 49 and lead to lap 65, where now he's out because of Kyle Traxon! Way! The King will take the lead on lap 66 and lead for the next 12 laps before Rusty Wheelhouse would take the lead for the next 89 laps. How does any car lead for 89 laps? And Eugene Carbareski is out because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course that happened. And Slider Petrolski would take the lead until lap 175, where Rusty Wheelhouse would take the lead again, and he would lead for 82 laps. How does any car lead that many laps twice in the race? A car that will not lead this race is Jonathan Melcher, and he's 12th as of lap 258, where Tony Gaswart, Chuck Armstrong, Mark Carton, Sterling Carlin, Mark Burnsley, Slide Park, Jeff Burnton, and Joe Brakecheck all out because of Jonathan Melcher. And Bobby Carboni will take the lead on lap 258 and lead until lap 297. But on lap 270, Jonathan Melcher is out because of Dale Earnhardt. I don't know if this is a yay or a why, but the King will take the lead on lap 297 and lead for just 7 laps before Hollingus would take the lead from him, leading until lap 310 for a total of 6 laps before Rowley Boltstrike would lead for 45 laps before the rookie Kevin Shiftright will take the lead for just 9 laps before he loses the lead to the King. And the King would lead all the way to lap 412, where he has this to say about Kevin Shiftright. That's nice. And Billy Oilchanger, who doesn't really care, will take the lead for 4 laps before losing the lead to Rowley Boltstrike, who will lead for just 9 laps before Jeremy Carfield would lead his first laps in the Florida 500. But on lap 449, Bill Racelot is out which makes Rowley Boltstrike take the lead until lap 486, where he'd lose the lead to Rusty Wheelhouse, with help from his teammate Jeremy Carfield, until lap 492, where Jeff Gorvette would pass Rusty Wheelhouse. Jeff Gorvette would lead the final 8 laps and hold off Dale Earnhardt to win the 1999 Florida 500. And here is the top 20 of the 1999 Florida 500.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
I have nothing to say at the end of the video, other than the fact that 1999 Piston Cup races 2 to 35 Part 1 will be out very soon.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Ron Blaster has a new look, and his rival WJ Lights will start at pole position for the second race, where Todd Marcus would wreck these cars on lap 369. And Aiken Axler is out for 4 races because of Kyle Traxon. Why? And now he's out because he hit the wall because of Darren Leadfoot. Hooray! But he doesn't win. Mark Carton wins the second race. But you're probably wondering who starts at pole position for the third race. But Andrew Axler will be back to replace his son Aiken for 4 races. Bobby Carboni starts at pole position for the third race, where Sammy Smelter, oh no, he's out for the season because of John Hicks. Why? Jeff Burnton would lead the most laps with 182. The car that lead the second most laps is his brother Ward, who'd lead 81. And Jeff Burnton, alongside his older brother Ward, almost won the third race. But in the end, Hollingus would win the third race, not one of the Burnton brothers. Bobby Carboni would start at pole position again for the fourth race, where Lee Revkins gets flipped on lap 158 because of Krusty Rotor. Why? And Ken Schrader is out because of Eugene Karbareski. Well, of course that happened, and Krusty Rotor would only lose by 9 feet to Jeff Gorvette, and Jeff Gorvette would win the fourth race. And somehow Todd Marcus will start at pole position for the fifth race, where he wrecks 8 cars. Why? Tony Gasworth will lead the most laps in the race, leading just 32 before the King would win the fifth race, when he led for a total of 5 turns. Kevin Shiftright will start at pole position for the sixth race, and he leads the most laps with 133. But Kyle Traxon wrecks 17 cars on the last lap, but Murray Clutchburn gets through the wreck and wins the sixth race. The King will start at pole position for the seventh race, where Dale Earnhardt is out because of Todd Marcus. Why? Did you also wreck 9 other cars? And Kevin Shiftright would almost win his first race, but in the end, Rowley Boltstrike wins his 11th race, the 7th race of 1999. Chuck Armstrong will start at pole position for the 8th race, and Rusty Wheelhouse would lead every other lap. How does any car lead all but 1 lap? And of course, Rusty Wheelhouse wins the 8th race. Mark Carton would start at pole position for the 9th race, where Ricky Slood goes into the catch fence on lap 145 because of Todd Marcus. Why? And Rowley Bolt Strike would almost win the 9th race, but in the end, the King would beat him to the line, and that means the King wins the 9th race. Jeff Corvette will start at pole position for the 10th race, where Ruby Easy Oaks would go airborne because of Nick Charger. What? And he's out for the season. Ivan Yoder's also out for the season when he was running in 5th place. And since no one else was trying, Dale Carnt will win the 10th race. Tony Gasworth will start at pole position for the 11th race, where Kyle Traxon is out because he hit the wall when trying to wreck Terry Carboni, who is first as of lap 399. But then he's out because of Dale Earnhardt, who does a pit maneuver. Why? And that means that he wins the 11th race. Another car that doesn't do such nice things. Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. would start at pole position for the 12th race, where Rowley Bolt Strike has a career-ending crash, which is extremely sad because of Kyle Traxon, who will be suspended for the rest of the season for causing the crash. Rusty Wheelhouse would almost win the 12th race, but in the end, the King would win the 12th race. But both cars had something to say. The King had this to say about Rowley Bolt Strike's career-ending crash, and Rusty Wheelhouse had this to say. Yes, the green and the brown car are mean cars. Sterling Carlin will start at pole position for the 13th race, where Eugene Kobareski is out because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happened, and Johnny Blamer would actually get a top 10. Hooray! And Bobby Carboni would finish first, which means that he wins the 13th race. Ken Schrader would start at pole position for the 14th race, where Todd Marcus caused another crash. Why? And Dale Earnhardt would easily win because he's the absolute best at this track. Jeff Corvette will start at pole position for the 15th race, and there's no cautions! Hooray! And Ron Blaster would lead the most laps with 83, but that isn't enough to beat Dale Carnt, who wins the 15th race. Why? Because he didn't have an engine failure like Ruby Easy Oaks, who starts at pole position for the 16th race, where Sterling Carlin is out because Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. hit him with his tire, which means he'll be suspended for the next 2 races. Todd Marcus would only lose by 6 feet to Murray Clutchburn, who wins the 16th race. The car starts at pole position for the 17th race is Billy Oil Changer. And Holingus would lead the most laps with exactly 100 laps. And also, Jeremy Carfield would only lose by 10 feet to Jeff Corvette, who wins the 17th race. A car that certainly didn't win was Joe Brakecheck, and he starts at pole position for the 18th race, where WJ Lights is out because of Ron Blaster. Why? And Ron Blaster has this to say. By the way, this is Sonic. And back to the race. Dale Earnhardt would almost win the 18th race, but he lost to the other Dale, Dale Carnt, who wins the 18th race. But Chick Hicks is back! Jeff Corvette will start at pole position for the 19th race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 17 cars! And Ron Blaster would be out because of WJ Lights. And WJ Lights had this to say. By the way, who's Super Mario? This is Super Mario. And Chick Hicks would lose by 4 feet to Dale Carnt, who wins the 19th race. I'm glad that Dale Carnt won the 19th race. And also, Jeff Corvette would start at pole position for the 20th race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 15 cars, but now he's out because of Rusty Wheelhouse. Hooray! Didn't he say he was going to wreck them earlier? And also, Tony Gaswart is first with 2 to go. But then he runs out of fuel, which gives the win to Jeff Burton, who wins the 20th race. A car that finished nowhere near the front gets the pole for the 21st race, and that car is Chuck Armstrong, who doesn't get wrecked by Chick Hicks, who jumps over other cars, like Dirksen to Agostino, who goes airborne on lap 343, and Ken Schrader is out. Both of these is due to Eugene Kobareski wrecking other cars. Why? And WJ Lights would almost win the 21st race, but in the end, his friend the King would complete a last lap pass to win the 21st race. Krusty Rotor would start at pole position for the 22nd race, where Dale Earnhardt does a bump and run on Krusty Rotor, and Chick Hicks would continue wrecking other cars, which included Misty Motocross, which means that Claude Scruggs had something to say. I hope Claude Scruggs does that. But Dale Earnhardt would easily win the 22nd race because it was the same track that he won the 14th race at. And Hollingus would start at pole position for the 23rd race, where Chick Hicks is luckily out because of Rusty Wheelhouse. Hooray! And Rusty Wheelhouse has this to say to Hollingus. But Hollingus would only lose by 2 feet to Mark Curtin, who once again wins the 23rd race. And this is how close the finish was. Ron Blaster will start at pole position for the 24th race, where Chick Hicks would wreck 21 cars. And now he's out with 1 to go because of Manny Flywheel, who wins the 24th race. Everyone is cheering on Manny Flywheel, including Rusty Wheelhouse, who starts at pole position for the 25th race, where Chick Hicks would wreck 18 cars, which didn't include Dale Earnhardt, but he's out because he hit the wall, and Chick Hicks would lose by 11 feet to the King, who wins the 25th race. Yup, Chick Hicks deserves to finish behind the King. And also, Eugene Kobareski will start at pole position for the 26th race, where he's out on lap 1 because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happened. And also, Chick Hicks would wreck 15 cars. One of them was not Billy Oil Changer, because he would lead the most laps with 144. And he'd lead the last 15, which means that he wins the 26th race. And now he's in the top 20. And Tony Gaswart sits in the top 10 in his very first season. Somehow, Ron Blaster is ahead of WJ Lights, and Eugene Kobareski isn't in the top 20.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
The 1999 Piston Cup races, 27 to 35, will be coming out tomorrow. And that's all I had to say at the end of the video.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Darren Ledfoot would start at pole position for the 27th race, but then Chick Hicks wrecks 15 cars, and Rusty Cornfuel is down 5 laps due to the crash, and Ernie Swervin is out because he hit the wall really hard. And Ernie Swervin is now announcing his retirement at the end of the season. Johnny Blamer would get flipped on lap 477 because of Mark Burnsley. Why? But Jeff Burnton would win the 27th race. Oh, a new winner for the Southern 500. Chick Hicks! The 9-time winner of the Southern 500 will start at pole position for the 28th race, where Hollingus would go airborne on lap 188 because of Chick Hicks! And the King would only lose by 8 feet to Mark Carton, who wins the 28th race. Rusty Wheelhouse will start at pole position for the 29th race, where Chick Hicks ends up wrecking 16 cars. Why? And Ken Schrader is out because of Eugene Glamoreski. Well, of course this happens. And Misty Motocross would lead the most laps with 129. And, of course, Claude Scruggs had something. Oh, he almost wins the 29th race, but Morik Klotchburn wins the 29th race. And, of course, Claude Scruggs had something to say. Darren Leadfoot would start at pole position once again, but this time for the 30th race, where Chick Hicks is out because of Claude Scruggs. Good job, Claude Scruggs! You wrecked the mean green car. And Claude Scruggs has this to say. But the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, is in the lead on lap 94, where Claude Scruggs would be out the very next lap because of, actually not because of Dirksen Augustino, but he goes airborne because of Krusty Rotor, who crashes into the wall. Now he's out for the season. Winfred Bradford Rutherford is also involved in the crash. The King would only lose by 6 feet to Jeff Corvette, who wins the 30th race. Just like his father, Kevin Shiftwright is good at getting the pole for the 31st race, where Tony Gasworth would get flipped on lap 210 because of Chick Hicks! Why? And Jeff Corvette would easily win the 31st race somehow. But Bill Racelot will start at pole position for the 32nd race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 13 cars. And Eugene Glamoreski is out because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happened. And Dale Earnhardt would be in the lead with 2 to go, but then he runs out of fuel, but isn't out. But Chick Hicks would get the 2nd place spot to the King, who of course wins the 32nd race. But Chick Hicks, of course, had something to complain about coming second. Ward Burnton will start at pole position for the 33rd race, where he's out on lap 10 because of Chick Hicks! Why? And Mark Carton would lead the most laps with just 27, and Bobby Carboni would almost win the 33rd race, but in the end, the King wins the 33rd race. The car that came 10th in the 33rd race, Morik Klotchburn, will start at pole position for the 34th race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 17 cars. And Dale Earnhardt is not happy with that. Thank you, Dale Earnhardt. And also, Mark Carton would only lose by 12 feet to the rookie, Tony Gasworth, who wins his very first race in the Piston Cup. Hollingus would start at pole position for the 35th race, where Chick Hicks actually doesn't wreck any other cars, but he'll be suspended for the rest of the season because he cheated. And Bobby Carboni would lead the most laps with 103, but his teammate Tony Gasworth would win the 35th race and his 2nd race in a row. Only the King and Dale Earnhardt are mathematically able to win the 1999 Piston Cup. Both have done really well this season, but all of these cars are very close to winning the Piston Cup, but they can't quite win the Piston Cup this season. But Jeff Corvette has had a very inconsistent season this season. Bobby Carboni and Morik Klotchburn both having good seasons. And Tony Gasworth is in the top 5 in his rookie year.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
I forgot to mention that Kevin Phillips just retired, but he and Mark Carton have thought of a rookie that will replace him in the 2000 Piston Cup season. And this is Jack Rush's reaction to both Kevin Phillips' retirement and the new rookie that will show up in the 2000 Florida 500. And of course, the 1999 Dynaco 400 will be coming out tomorrow.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Ernie Swervin and Jonathan Melcher will both be retiring at the end of the season. But Jonathan Melcher couldn't even qualify for his last race. Billy Oilchanger will start at pole position and lead the first 9 laps before Jeff Burnton would take the lead from him. He would lead until lap 13, where Murray Clutchburn would take the lead from him. Murray Clutchburn would lead for 12 laps before Terry Carboni would be out due to an engine failure. And Jeff Gorvette would also be out for the same reason. Ron Blaster would take the lead for just 1 lap before WJ Lights would take the lead from him, leading all the way to lap 35 for a total of 8 laps before he'd lose the lead to Bobby Carboni, who would lead for 9 laps before he'd lose the lead to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead all the way until lap 47, where Bobby Carboni would retake the lead, leading for 6 laps until lap 54, where Todd Marcus would be out because of Dale Earnhardt. I don't know how to react. I'm gonna guess yay. The King would take the lead on lap 54 and lead for 5 laps before he'd lose the lead to Michael Cartrip, who would lead until lap 71, where Jeremy Carfield would take the lead from him. But on lap 78, he'd lose the lead to Darren Leadfoot, who would lead all the way to lap 84, where he'd lose the lead to Hall Ingus. And Hall Ingus would only hang on to the lead for 2 laps before Kevin Shiftright would take the lead from him, leading for 9 laps before Slide Park would take the lead, leading for 45 laps before Mark Carton would take the lead from him. Mark Carton would lead for 18 laps before Joe Brakecheck is out on lap 150 alongside Clint Speed, Jimmy Speedcar, Michael Cartrip, Ryan Thunderbolt Jr., and Dave Laney are all out on lap 150. Due to this crash, Sterling Carlin is now down 11 laps because of the damage. Jeremy Carfield will take the lead on lap 169 and lead for 10 laps before Tony Gasswort would take the lead from him. Tony Gasswort will only lead 3 laps before Ron Blaster would take the lead from him, leading until lap 191, where Slide Park would take back the lead, leading all the way to lap 226, where Elliot Draftler would take the lead from him, leading for just 2 laps before Bobby Carboni would once again take the lead, all the way until lap 240, where Darren Leadfoot would take it from him. Darren Leadfoot would lead for 15 laps before Kevin Shiftright would be out on lap 251, and somehow Ernie Gearson is down 1 lap. But then Ken Schrader would lead 3 laps before being out because of Eugene Garbareski. Well, of course this happened, and Murray Clutchburn would be the car that takes the lead for 10 laps before Bobby Carboni would once again take the lead until lap 294, where the King would take the lead from him. The King would lead until lap 307, where Darren Leadfoot would take the lead from him, leading for just 6 laps until Bobby Carboni would be back in the lead, leading for 11 laps before Dale Carrett would take the lead from him, leading until lap 346, where Billy Oilchanger, the pole sitter, would retake the lead, leading until lap 371, where Darren Leadfoot would take the lead from him. Darren Leadfoot will only lead 2 laps before Dale Carrett would take the lead from him. Dale Carrett also leads only 2 laps before Darren Leadfoot retakes the lead for 4 laps, before Bobby Carboni would retake the lead on lap 379. He would lead the final 21 laps to win the 1999 Dynaco 400. But he can't win the Piston Cup. But instead, the King wins the 1999 Piston Cup. And here is the finish of the 1999 Dynaco 400. 4 wide! How? Since the King finished ahead of Dale Carrett, it means that the King wins the Piston Cup. Bobby Carboni was already third in points, so he just stays third in points. But you saw Murray Clutchburn and Tony Gasworth behind the 4 wide, which means that Mark Carton will fall to 6th in points. Dale Earnhardt had a very good last 3 races, pushing him back up to 7th in points. Jeff Gravett, having an engine failure at the start of the Dynaco 400, basically dropped him to 9th in points. His teammate Terry Carboni also fell to 14th behind Jeremy Carfield. Chuck Armstrong resurged this season, which means that he finished 12th. And Ward Burnton also had another good season. Bill Rayslot and Eugene Karbareski did not have good seasons. Why? Because they're not in the top 20. And Ron Blaster had a really good season, finishing 17th. Only 5 points behind his rival, WJ Lights. Also, all 3 number 36 cars finished in successive positions ahead of Slide Park, who did much better this season. He only beat Darren Leadfoot by 9 points. And Darren Leadfoot had a good season as well. And also, Kevin Shiftright, Clint Shiftright's son, 4th generation Shiftright, finished in the top 20 in his rookie year. Sure, his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather did better, but still good nonetheless. Michael Cartrip also finished 33rd. I don't know why this mattered, but Ricky Slood had a worse than average season. Jerry Nadrive only barely came behind him. And Manny Flywheel came 39th despite his win. Billy Oilchanger's 20th, and he had a win too. But Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. is 40th despite all the help that Kyle Traxon gave him. But luckily, Ernie Gearson is no longer having unnecessary engine failures. But Chickix somehow finished 15th, despite the fact he has no wins and missed over half the season due to suspensions.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Jack Rush has just kicked Billy Ford out of Rush Racing because he failed to finish in the top 40. But Jack Rush, didn't Billy Ford not finish in the top 40 for the past few seasons? Maybe he just had enough. But either way, the 2000 Florida 500 will be coming out very soon.